Now this is who Superman's supposed to be. And now I have to talk about it. Hey there, it's your Matt Doodle to my Thomas Hands, doing my with another video. Today, I was about the Superman trailer and how even more excited I got for this film. I've already made a few videos about the teasers, about the promos, about any snippets that were coming out about the film. And I've explained about being kind of excited but very cautious to just being very, very excited for it. And this trailer just enhances that, just gets me even more happy and excited for this film. This trailer just solidified everything I was already hyped for, and even more because this trailer points out who Superman's supposed to be. After so much of Superman being portrayed as very cynical, very dark, very cold, this Superman trailer shows that no, that is not who Superman's supposed to be. He cares about everyone and wants everyone to be okay, despite what everyone tells him to do. That's what I like about him. And that's what they showed here. And they show us that with a nice little interview with Lois and Clark. And I love that. I love whenever they do things like that. It reminds me of the Christopher Reeve Superman film when Lois and Superman were doing this interview. And I like it more because it looks like Lois and Clark already seem to have some kind of relationship here, maybe just friends. But it seems like she already knows that Clark is Superman because, one, he doesn't have his glasses, he has his posture upright, and he seems very comfortable. But they seem to be very, very comfortable with each other. So she's probably known that he's been Superman for a little bit. Also, what is that nickname that he gave Lois? Because, was it Cronkite? What does that mean? I don't know if that's a reference to something, but please let me know if that is a reference, because I'm really confused. But I like the casualness of how they talk until the interview starts, which, speaking of referring to the Christopher Reeve Superman, I love how Clark goes from his normal Clark voice to Miss Lane.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
That was awesome. It gave me so much flashback to the Christopher Reeve version when he did the whole posture, voice, and taking off the glasses. And then here, he's just doing the voice, but previously we have seen what his Clark looks like, and which makes him look drastically different. And that seems to be the same case for regular Clark Kent, not disguised Clark Kent, and not just Superman. This feels like the actual middle ground of who Clark and Kal-El are supposed to be. You know, without the glasses, with the curly hair, but with the Superman posture and that relaxed attitude. That's actually cool. You can actually see the difference. When you see this guy, that's not Clark, that's not Superman, that is, well, Clark Kent himself. Not the disguise. And that is cool how they were able to do that. But then when they were doing their interview, Lois gets hard on him about the fact that he helps people. You know how I was saying that that's who Superman's supposed to be, right? He helps whoever he needs to. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be in the US, it could be outside of the US. It doesn't matter. I actually like that they point out that sometimes anyone who doesn't think that just doing good is possible without an agenda don't understand Superman. And I feel like even Lois doing this interview is pushing too hard on him, when even Clark is getting annoyed by these questions because he's saying, like, I don't represent anyone. When, like, Lois even says, did you talk to the president? He's like, what? And that even when she says, like, you were messing with a war, he said, I stopped the war, but now you're representing us. And I love that Superman even points out he does not represent anyone, not from the US, not from anyone outside the country. He's the hope for everyone. And I love that, especially with that little kid that we've seen in promos and teasers, you know, with the flag, hoping for Superman. And I love that they show that. And I know some people are going to get a little mad that Clark yells or gets angry at Lois about the fact that she's pushing too hard on the fact that he's just doing good for the sake of doing good. But I like this because it finally shows people that Superman does get mad. He does, like, get frustrated, but for things that matter. He gets mad when people assume that what he's doing is for non-altruistic reasons. And it does get to him, because he even seemed like he was like, what? This all seems so stupid. But I also understand that on Lois's end, that you can't just do everything you want, even if you're trying to do the right things. Yes, you should try, but Superman is a big, strong man. But I like that he doesn't see himself that way. And it just gets me so much more excited for this film even more. And we also see that, yeah, Superman doing good stuff is good. We do see that Superman probably does have consequences even for doing good, even though that's the right thing to do. By the Fist of Bolivia, I think that's what it was called. I don't really remember. Going after Superman and causing more structure because they probably think that Superman was sent by the US, so it's probably retaliation. So they even show that it is a lot more messy than Superman likes to think. Because again, Superman is a farm boy, so he thinks very simple in things. Not that he's stupid, but he likes to just thinks it in wrong and right a lot of the time. Doesn't mean he doesn't evolve, but I love that they're showing this, that sometimes doing right, which is still good, can have problems. I like that a lot. That it's not just black and white. It is filled with gray too, even for Superman, even in this bright world they show. That's what I like too, because I feel like people assume that Superman is just this really nice guy no matter what, and the world acts the way he does too. But no, what makes Superman's stories interesting, even if he has all these powers, is that he lives in a very cynical world and he makes it hopeful. And that's who Superman is. That's where I feel like the Snyderverse kind of messed that part up. I love Henry Cavill. I wish they gave him more, but his Superman was not it. At least to me. And something I noticed about this trailer that I think they improved from their previous showings of, teasers, promos, and things like that, is the choreography, the camera work. You know how people were making fun of that whole Superman facing front while he flies, thinking that looked weird? Well, I feel like they've really improved it in this trailer by showing how he's so fast that we can barely catch up to him. But I also love that little,
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
I love that. That oozed off such coolness to me. I like Superman, of course, saving people, doing what he does. Just seeing this in a trailer is so cathartic. But besides Superman, we also get to see the other superheroes, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific. And I like that they're here, actually. You know how I was saying that I was worried that they're going to take too much of a screen from Superman, that it's going to bloat the film. But weirdly, in this trailer, it feels like they had a better footing on how much they're going to be in the film and how important, without stepping on Superman's story. They feel like they actually have a purpose, being the corporate superheroes, as I've talked about as well. But they seem like they actually have a balance. And by the way this trailer seems, and by little points in promos again, it looks like maybe Mr. Terrific is going to leave the Justice Gang. I think that's what they're called now. I don't know. But it seems like he's probably going to leave because they did make a Peacemaker Season 2 trailer, which I don't know if I'm going to talk about, but he's not there. And the way he seems to be helping Superman in this trailer from the engineer, which I don't know too much about, but I actually like that they're actually showing her a nanite in use, and it's actually cool. Now, I do want to say, she should not hurt Crypto at all. I like that they show Crypto, but if anything comes to that, the good boy, I will lose it. But this Crypto, so he may have the upper hand, because he's basically just Superman as a dog, and not trained, so that's a problem for them. And we also see Metamorpho, a better shot of his entire body. And I actually really love his design, seeing those materials and gases, the way he uses them. Because we even see him use them physically. When they seem to trap Superman, he's using kryptonite. And I'm like, okay, they actually did his powers correctly, that, he can make things if he knows the chemical elements about them. So that's cool that they actually just casually put up kryptonite here. They don't make it a big deal, which, again, I like that they're just kind of putting things there. They're not saying as it's very important, it's just part of the world, which is really cool. And we get to see Metamorpho use his powers to make sunlight, at least where we saw Superman punch out of that cage and being very bright. So it's probably Metamorpho doing that to help him, which I'm wondering what that story connection is going to be on how Superman is going to make him betray Lex, because it looks like Metamorpho is working with him. And maybe it may do that thing that I talked about before, where he's going to learn to be more altruistic and actually be a hero through Superman. So that would actually be a very cool story in here. But again, I don't want it to overshadow Superman himself, so let's tone it down a little bit with him. It's still cool seeing him, and I can't wait to see more of his shape-shifting molecular powers, the Element Man powers. Now, again, we do see more shots of the Ultraman guy. Now, is that his official name in this thing? Because that's all I hear his name being every time someone talks about him. I still think it's going to be, he may be called Ultraman, when he's in the suit, but when he's out of it, he is a clone of Superman. So he's going to try to make Superman look bad, but then he's going to deteriorate and turn into Bizarro. At least that's my thought. I don't want him to turn into Doomsday, because we already saw that in the Superman and Lois TV show. So that'd just be cool to see this happen instead. And another thing that I don't know why it hit me so hard, but seeing Superman with his parents, with Ma and Pa Kent, both alive, in fact. No one's dying, at least I hope not. But it looks like they're actually going to still be a very big part of Superman's life, especially helping him out in this film when you see Martha is basically washing his supersuit and getting his boots, and I like that a lot. And this is the thing that really broke me for this very short scene of Pa talking to Clark, but But then we get to see a small kid Clark hugging Pa, his dad, and I love that. I'm like, oh, seeing where Superman's niceness comes from and the love that he got as a child just warmed my heart so much, and again gets me so much hope for this film. And something I also noticed is that the score. I don't usually talk about the score in movies at all because it's not really something I really think about. But they obviously were using the original Christopher Reeve Superman score and while remixing it for their modern twist. But the reason I originally was worried about it, that they're not doing anything new with it, but I'm gonna be honest, I actually like that they're not pushing anything. It reminds me how like the Tim Burton version of Batman theme is so iconic that it's just used for almost everything Batman. And I am completely fine for them using that here. And it's just too iconic to where like, yes, this is the theme for Superman. Even if it's remix, it is Superman. And I don't think we need to remix or reinvent the wheel again. I love that that's what James Gunn said. He's not reinventing weird. He's just pointing out that who Superman is and the vibe he's supposed to give off. And I know people really like the Man of Steel one and people really want new innovations, but sometimes I feel like we need to go back and just enjoy the things we've had of the character. But hey, that's just me when it comes to that. Now I want to talk about Lex. I love his hating ass behavior. This man is just a pure hate. I like when he said Superman. No, he's an it. Like, he just does not respect Superman at all. He does not like him. And I love that anytime, at least what it looks like in this trailer, is that anytime he's having a good time pissing off Superman, he is happy. But when Superman is getting out the other hand, at least the way they portray it in the trailer, he is actually raging. Like when you're in a video game and he's just rage quitting. That's what it looked like to me. And I found that really funny. And we saw Rick Flag Sr. here, and he has dark hair. Yes, I know in the Creature Commando show, he had gray hair. In my headcanon, he just dyed his hair for this specific scene because he's older. But you know, it's because of contract reasons from the actor. So that I just wanted to say that just because I don't think it really matters at this point. People dye their hair. I am just very excited. Now, I do want to say something about the costume. I know I've talked about it many, many times, but now I figured out the reason why I feel like the suit goes on and off for me. I personally, still think that they could have tightened it a little bit more, but I've already said I've understood why they're probably not doing it, because they want Superman to look normal, even with the strong physique he has. And I'm not a huge fan of the lines, but now I know it doesn't really bother me in like the chest area or the legs. It doesn't really bother me there. Where it bothers me the most, actually, is the shoulders. That's really about it. When I was watching this trailer, I honestly wasn't minding any of it. It was just the shoulders that bothered me the most. That was it. I feel like if they got rid of the lines for the shoulders and like the little bit of puff or padding they have there, I would be completely fine. If it has padding, which I think it does. I think that would just fix it. Even with all the lines they had there, I would be fine with it, and I would actually love this suit so much. But that's just my thoughts. And speaking of my thoughts, I love this trailer so much. This did everything I was already very excited about, and then doubled it by 10 by showing us who Clark Kent is. Not just Superman, not just the fictional Clark Kent, but as Clark Kent the person, Kal-El Clark Kent, and how he feels about these matters, about people misunderstanding what he's trying to do. That he is not just a weapon, a soldier for the US government. He is a peacekeeper for the world, and that's who he's supposed to be. Truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. And yes, I know some people are going to say, wasn't it truth, justice, and the American way? Yes, but he changed that, and he took out his citizenship. But those are just my thoughts on the Superman trailer. What did you think? Did you like it? Do you like how they portrayed Clark here? Please let me know all your opinions in the comments down below. And if you like this video and you want to see more, please go subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get notified when all these videos come out. But if there's nothing else, this has been Dynamite. I hope everyone stays nerdy, and I hope to see everyone in the next video. Bye!